First of all, I'm so happy to be in this huge university. I never thought there are 40,000 students here. Unimaginable. And what a nice outlay. This shows that the country is progressing. And it's a privilege to be a speaker on the Teachers' Day. In fact, I was a teacher, I continue to be a teacher. Even though one has retired, I don't know how many times. One correction, I will be 93 on 2nd October. I am now 92.
All great men born on 2nd October.
But I am not like Gandhiji. I love my wines and whiskey, gins, etc. And anyway, but we have some common aims. In the profession that we are, obviously, it should not finish just by publishing papers. It should lead to something which is useful to the society, useful to the people, and it should reach them. So my mission, my research these days, or since some years, I think since 1970, earlier I used to be also doing fundamental research and publishing lots of papers, but since 70s, I am sort of more motivated to work on mission-oriented research, which should be on some relevant problem. One should first do research, basic research, to understand why that problem is. And then if there is a lead, then develop that lead to see if it is not toxic, and then go through the clinical trials as is the requirement, with the due permissions of the drug controller and ethics committees and things of that sort. But it should not finish there, because by the way, your idea may not lead to anything till the end. It may fail anywhere in the way. But if it leads to the end to be really a useful product, then that product must go to industry so that it can go to public. Because unless it goes there, your whole mission is only in paper publications. So that is the sort of message that I would like to give to teachers on a Teachers' Day. Now, of course, people have talked about my birth control vaccine. I'm not going to speak on it. It's a very, very original and very nice vaccine. It can prevent pregnancy without disturbance of ovulation, without disturbance of menstrual regularity, and all the problems that the current contraceptives have. But you see, in order to take it to the people, you had to go to the industry. So therefore we made a genetically engineered version of that vaccine. So that has been made, but I never knew that genetically engineered things then require so much more work to be done. So I've spent 8 years doing toxicity requirement of all types of toxicity, and then have the approval of a special committee which is called the RCGM. And after they approve, which took about 6 years, going through the whole process, then you have to take the permissions of the drug controller to go back to the trials, because the previous vaccine we had made was chemically synthesized. It wasn't a recombinant vaccine. So it is currently under clinical trials with the approval of the drug controller and RCGM and all others at the All India Institute and at Gangaram Hospital. So it is something in the making now. But what I will tell you about are 3 other products which have reached the end according to what I told you the road was. You see, one of them we have termed as Basant. Basant, why Basant? Because it is yellow colored. It has purified curcumin as one of the ingredients. Then there are probiotics, which are, by the way, very important because in contrast to the body pH, which is 7.4, the vaginal pH, the pH of vagina of a healthy woman is 4.5. It is acidic. So within that 7.4 body, there is one organ which has an acidic pH and it must be maintained in acidic range so that the vagina is healthy. So anyway, it does so by keeping some special type of microbes which are lactobacilli, and they reside on the vagina to keep on secreting lactic acid, and therefore we also made probiotics because so far the probiotics were only imported, and these probiotics have very selected properties, excellent selected special properties, not ordinary lactobacilli. Then the people said it, so I made a vaccine against leprosy. How and why, let me share with you. In 1970, I guess, there was a committee of WHO with very good names, Melvin Cohn, Barry Bloom, Howard Goodman. They came to me to ask me to take up the headship of the Research and Training Center in Immunology, which WHO wanted to set up for India and Southeast Asia. So I said, why? Why me? Go to microbiology, there is somebody working in immunology. Go to Malvia, who was in clinical immunology. He said, no, we don't want immunology to grow as serology and that sort of a science. We want it to be molecular science, therefore we want you to, and we want it should be used for innovative research. By the way, his department, I found the word innovative, which is rather good. And we should all be innovative if possible. That is the way the country will progress. So then they floored me by telling me that 60% of the world's lepers are in India. Do we expect Americans to come and solve our problems? You see, it shamed me so much to hear that. We do see leprosy fellows here and there and in a rather miserable condition. But having the world's largest numbers, that I didn't know. So I immediately signed. I was so ashamed to hear it. I immediately signed to be the chief of that center. And that is how I started learning immunology and vaccinology, which, by the way, is the useful outcome of immunology. So what I was going to share you is how I thought we should solve the problem of leprosy ourselves and bring down these great numbers. And anyway, but leprosy is a difficult subject to work on. You see, its causative organism was discovered, by the way, in Norway, not in India, by Armor Hansen. And it is very difficult to grow. It needs a cell to grow in a manner. So it's a difficult organism, but nonetheless, issue was to see what we can do to counteract. And by the way, 99%, luckily, 99% of Indians and other members of the world are immune to leprosy. It's only 1% who have some defect in their immune system that they become victim to leprosy. So my first task was to learn what is wrong with them who become victims of leprosy. To learn that, I'm a non-medical background, so I've spent 2 summer vacations in Danish. The Danish used to run a leprosarium in Aska in Odisha, Aska and Pogri. So for 2 summers, I went with 2 of my students, very worthy, Krishnan and Vijay Lakshmi, and with a mobile laboratory to understand how the patient comes when he is first detected to suffer from leprosy. What is wrong with him? So all that I'm not going to discuss because it's all published. But the sum total was that the nature of defect in these people who become victims of leprosy is their inability to recognize and react immunologically to some key antigens of M. leprae. Not most of us can react that. That's why we are not getting leprosy, but they can't. And so, after learning what is the nature of defect in leprosy, the next job was, can we do something about it? And that is how we then started working on a leprosy vaccine. And obviously it should be cultivable because it should be made on a large scale. I'll tell you about that too. But let me go on. The first product, Basant. Now, why did I work on this? Let me tell you, 80% of women in India have vaginosis. That is what Safdarjung Hospital says, or AIMS also receives. At least 30% women who come to AIMS have vaginosis. They have an abnormal vaginal discharge and their pH is high. They don't complain these things. They think maybe it's a normal part of being a woman, but it's a unhealthy vagina. And so you see, our first task was to see, can we do something on reproductive health? Can we do something about it? And we developed this formulation, which is, by the way, a herbal formulation. The name is become Basant because curcumin is in there. And why, you will see, it's a wonderful properties of this curcumin, is the active principle of haldi, we eat every day, but it's a wonderful compound. It's the safest compound you can know. 8 grams of curcumin per day is non-toxic to an individual. Of course, you take only a little bit of it. So the ingredients of this Basant formulation is curcumin, amla purified extracts, and then of neem leaves, which originally I started with, and that's why it was called praneem, and aloe vera, which gives it's not only giving it the nice feeling which vagina should have, but aloe vera has also other properties, the biological properties too. The Basant, you wouldn't believe, it's a wonderful, has wonderful antimicrobial properties, and especially against the organisms which invade vagina. For instance, Neisseria gonorrhea, all strains, WHO and everywhere we could get these strains from, we have tested it, including those which are resistant to penicillin, to tetracycline, to nalidase, and to ciprofloxacin. All of them are killed by Basant. And then it has, there are a lot of fungi, bad smell in many vagina, and Basant has pronounced inhibitory actions against Candida glabrata, Candida albicans, and Candida tropicalis, all the Candidas, including those which are resistant to azole drugs and amphotericin. So even to drugs resistant strains, it works. And then what was interesting, and that was we never expected it. You see, again, Chlamydia trachomatis is a very, very widespread infection in the vagina. And this is again, our colleagues did it in the Institute of Pathology at Safdarjung, Bhengraj is there. So they worked on Chlamydia trachomatis and all strains. Again, they published it. It has a wonderful action against chlamydia too. But what is further interesting is that it also against HIV-1. You can't imagine these simple herbal entities working against a virus like HIV-1. And then it is not only on the strains which are available in the labs, but also those which enter into the blood cells through either CCR5 or CCR4 receptors. You know, there are two types of receptors which enable the HIV to go into the blood cells. And all those strains, it's in fact, this study is done in America. I didn't have those strains nor the equipment, etc. So this is done by a huge group of people in America and published there. Of course, they've included me as a co-author too, but that's kind of them. Then you see the things where I had a co-authorship of Dr. B.C. Das, there, and also of a professor of gynecology at Jawaharlal Nehru Medical College in Aligarh. So we also tested Basant against HPV, human papilloma virus, which causes the carcinoma of the cervix, a major cancer of women. Now you see, this is what is the summary of our findings. That out of, let's say, 19 women who were HPV 16 positive, only 11 agreed to join our trials. And they were asked to take each night before going to bed one capsule of Basant. By the way, it's a very pleasant story. The only bad part is it has a yellow color, and therefore one has to also use a pad not to stain one's clothes. But you see, otherwise it's a lubricant type of nice feeling. And you see, the 11 women who joined the trial, they had to take for 30 days each night one capsules of Basant. All of them were positive for HPV 16, each one of them, without a single exception, 100% result, they all became negative. The detection of HPV was done in Dr. Das's laboratory, so he's a co-author of this work. Then you see, as I told you, that you have vaginosis is a major problem. We had to find, normally the clinicians gave antibiotics. Even the best antibiotic in the world has only 65% efficacy against vaginosis. But our Basant and the 3 probiotics that we selected and have passed on, by the way, to Microbax. Microbax Hyderabad is making it. Now, the Basant plus prebiotics taken for 7 days only cure up to 95%. There is no antibiotic which can attain that. 95% of women with vaginosis are cured. So it's better than any antibiotics available today, not only in India but also abroad, because the publications never show more than 65% efficacy. Now this is what happens. On the left here is the abnormal vaginal discharge in the woman, and after treatment, after 7 days of intake, how it becomes totally clear. There is nothing, no abnormal discharge. There are clue cells on enrollment. After 7 days of intake of this Basant and probiotics, you have nothing. We call it pro-veg health, the combination. And see, these are only the lactobacilli which are roaming around that, but none of those organisms. the fishy odor which many people have in a vaginosis case, no fishy odor at all, completely gone. And the pH of vagina, which was in the acid no longer at 4.5, comes back to 4.5 or lower. So all symptoms are healed, and in 95% of women, which is really good, even if we have done with the help of course, as you can see, there will be an involvement of many people, including clinicians, at each one of this stage. Now I'm going to finish by telling you about my leprosy vaccine. We just started with that, but I'll finish with it. I hope I can still have a few minutes to. Is it okay?
Yeah, please.
I'm within my time? All right. Now you see this is the vaccine which I was telling you about, which by the way is the only vaccine of its type in the world today. It's approved by the DCGI, our drug controller, as well as by the US FDA. And it is passed on to Cadila, which is supposed to make it available to public. Now you see, what did we do? After learning that the nature of defect in those who get leprosy is their inability to recognize some key antigens of M. leprae and react against it. So we thought we should look for a heterologous microbe, mycobacteria if possible, which should be able to overcome this resistance, cross over that resistance. And so we collected 16 atypical mycobacteria strains from various places in India and in the world. 16 such cultivable, they have to be cultivable if we want to make a vaccine which should be made available to users around the world. It has to be cultivable. So cultivable, atypical, it should not be pathogenic if possible. We are making a vaccine. So that's what we did. And eventually, I won't go with you, this is all published. What were the findings? How one of these 16, which was coded at that time as MW, this bacteria is on an electron microscope, you can see on the left, and the atomic force microscopy is on its right side. This is how this microbe is. This is the one which eventually was selected. It's a non-pathogenic, fast-growing mycobacteria which shares antigens with not only M. leprae but also M. tuberculosis. And the key antigens of MW or MIP now is heat stable, and therefore it can be used in a killed form too, and it will still work as a vaccine. So that, simplifies the time factor in doing the toxicology and so on. So what is more today, the genomic analysis of this mycobacteria has been done, and it has been done by 3 laboratories of Syed Hasnan, who is currently at Jamia Hamdard, Akhilesh Tyagi and Anil Tyagi. They used to be at Delhi University in those days. So I did not have at that time all the facilities, so they did it. And so we know what this microbe is. This is its genomic sequence, and it has been named as Mycobacterium indicus prani. Pran is my family name, NII is the institution where this work was done. And so thanks to these, this bacillus has been named after me, because it is, so far it was a new bacillus, discovered, which is so far not been found anywhere in the international depository. It has been given to international depository, also in our own national, and it is named as Mycobacterium indicus prani. This is how Cadila, because before it has to reach the people, So Cadila makes it and sells it as Imuvac. And you will see that it has many other multiple applications. So in our licensing, one condition was that the price of the leprosy vaccine should be below 20 rupees. So that they had to respect. But, they sell it for cancers and they make thousands. And in the last leprosy meeting, I was told that they don't supply to us, to the leprologists. And I asked them what's happened. Oh, ji, kya kare, inka demand dhani, stock. But you see, basically they are making money, a lot of money Cadila is making. And there is not merely No, what does MIP do? MIP, when we had to do the clinical trials, we couldn't use it alone. So we had to use it as an adjunct to chemotherapy. So one group had a chemotherapy plus vaccine, the other had only the chemotherapy, the usual multi-drug treatment. And the inclusion of MIP in that combination led to much faster bacterial clearance. You see, normally it takes many months, years for multibacillary leprosy cases to clear up. But everyone who took MIP was cleared in less than a year, sometimes in months. It shortens recovery time and then it clears granulomas. I'll show you some pictures. And the reactions which are usually there with these drugs, their number is reduced and also their severity. And what is more, they are converted to lepramine positivity. Lepramine is a delayed hypersensitivity skin reaction which shows that the person has the immune system to react against it. And then it is effective and slow. Here are some cases just to show you. Look at this woman, how she was to start with and how she becomes after 4 doses, and after 1 year you cannot even recognize she ever had leprosy. You see, she is a different woman. No one says she ever had a leprosy, that she was what you can see on the first picture, initially what she was. Look at this fellow, how he clears up and he is going around hatta gatta and mauj kar raha hai. Look at the other one. See the skin, many times the skin, the blemishes in the skin of the leprosy patients. If you had given him MIP, look, after 2 doses, his skin is completely normal. You see, unbelievable that he had ever a leprosy. So it's not only a curative, but it also cures the disfiguring that leprosy many times causes. Look at another case. On the left is the patient as he was, and at the right you see the person after treatment with the drugs and the MIP. See another chap, he was from Nepal. His eyes were so weepy and was everywhere. And when he became normal after 1 year, he came and touched my feet. अरे आपने मुझे नई जिंदगी दे दी, अब तो लोग सोचते ही नहीं कि मेरी कभी लेप्रेसी थी. So you see, even his home people, everybody thought, did you have leprosy? He was going around totally normal. Another case. So like that I can go on showing you many such cases. The beautiful thing about it is that, it not only cures much faster, but it removes all blemishes, all ugly signs of leprosy. Now, when we gave to Cadila this MIP to make and to make it available to public, they said, Dr. Saab, koi ek test do, biological test do, to be sure that we have grown the right bacteria. You see, very difficult issue. Leprosy ko grow karna to it was a very impossible type of story. So we thought, let's see whether we can use this test. This test is that you give it to a guinea pig and inject it, and 3 weeks later, you see, you can see, you also infect him with M. tuberculosis 37RV, which is the infectious form of tuberculosis. So normally the guinea pigs would have the bigger spleens, as well as lungs will have the lesions. Had you given MIP, MW earlier, neither the spleen is enlarged nor the lungs disfigured. So this also led us to another discovery, that it may act also against tuberculosis. You see, it was wonderful against leprosy, there is no doubt about it. But you see, this test which we had to give to the manufacturers to be sure that they have grown the right bacteria actually could lead us that it is maybe effective also against tuberculosis. And let me tell you that, and there are the trials done in category 2 tuberculosis, which is difficult to treat tuberculosis. You know, either it's partially drug resistant or whatever, but it's difficult to treat cases. And were you to give MIP also along with the multi-drug treatment, the cure rate is not only much higher, 97.96% instead of 77% with drugs alone, multi-drug alone, but also the relapse rate. You see, the relapse rate, which is usually in 2 years you have 50% or 60% of people having a relapse of tuberculosis. But those who received MIP, the relapse rate was very, very low, much lower. So therefore it's a very useful entity for tuberculosis too. And you see, I think there is a trial now ICMR is going to conduct there has already been trials done.
We'll have some time for discussion.
Okay. Now my last study, and this again is unexpected. You see, in dermatology, we have a Professor Somesh Gupta at All India Institute of Medical Sciences. He said, Dr. Saab, मेरे तो बड़े आप leprosy लुपरी से लग रहे हो. I have people who have such ugly genital warts, looks like worse than even leprosy. Can I use your vaccine? I said, well, use it, why not? There is no harm in trying. So this is how he does. See, his case, he injected in the lesion MIP, and see how clear it becomes. Absolutely all the ugly warts gone. This, look at the right, completely gone. It was as much a surprise to him as to us of the properties of, see on the foot, ugly, and see how it becomes. वो कहता है ये तो जी, the lesions are more ugly than in leprosy, but they are all healed completely by MIP. So it has this unforeseen properties too, and he has published this data. 9 out of 10 patients complete the study protocol and so on and so forth, and including 3 which were HIV positive. They also got healed. And then let me tell you, I say that really I'm taken too much time, that there is also Dipankar Nandi at Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, works on myelomas, and he has these findings that MIP is effective against these cancers too. That is, the cancers of all types now. Cadila is selling more of MIP for cancers than and makes a lot of money both internally and externally within the country. So to sum up then, I would say that to me it's a marvelous vaccine. It's based on a non-pathogenic cultivar mycobacteria. Its gene sequence is known now. We know it is only bacillus, the original bacillus of its type, and it's in the international collection, and then it expedites bacterial clearance, granulomas, upgrades CMI responses of lepromin positivity of BLL patients, and improves the immune status of people to react against next. When they become lepromin positive, chances they won't get back leprosy. Then it has high therapeutic action in tuberculosis, difficult to treat tuberculosis, and it heals anogenital warts, which are quite ugly. And then it has a therapeutic and preventive action against myeloma and other cancers. What is more, it's a potent invigorator of immune response in my genetically engineered vaccine, birth control vaccine, which is going back to the clinical trials. We use MIP as an adjuvant. It's a huge invigorator of immune response. Well, I couldn't have done any work without collaborators, my students, colleagues, and so on. And these are some of the few names worth mentioning who collaborated in this vaccine. Thank you both.